I'm breathing underwater. I'm weightless through space. I'm soaring like an eagle all over this place. Creatures most will never see are waiting there to look at me, and all I gotta do is breathe underwater. A sleek new sub is knifing through the water at speeds that most subs couldn't even dream of.
Look at that, Commander. 43 knots, and still gaining.
So we're coming up to your predicted speed, sir, but the hull is showing some vibrational stress.
Forget the hull, it's sound.
Without a hull, you don't have a submarine. You have a bunch of very deep free divers.
I told you, Commander. There's no limit to what my fuel can do.
50 knots, sir. We've passed your predicted speed test, sir. May I order slow to standard?
No, you may not. I'll handle this. Engine room? Aye, aye, sir. This is Captain Gant. Add another fuel cylinder.
He's developed an amazing fuel that makes submarine engines go really fast. Before we know it, he's pushing it past 60.
What's Gant doing out there? He's got the test sub up to 65 knots.
I don't know. The Admiral says Gant's one of the most brilliant men he's ever known. But if you ask me, stability isn't his long suit.
Well, that's an understatement.
In other words, he's another insane genius. But his test is getting dangerous.
Well, the hull won't stand the strain.
The hull may, but the instruments aren't calibrated for this speed.
Then they'll be running blind.
Your average submarine doesn't have a windshield in front of the steering wheel. The instruments are your life. If they're not functioning, you might as well have all 5 senses turned off. Mr. Balter knows that, but Captain Gant isn't listening. And he's refusing a call from Admiral Nelson.
There's something up ahead, sir. Can't tell what it is.
Shock wave vibration, that's all. 70. We'll make it. We'll make it all right.
He's determined to hit 75 knots and set a new record.
Hard left rudder.
You belay that. Resume your course. Maintain flank speed.
Or not. Balter gives the command to abandon ship. Gant wants to see what they hit. I think he wishes he hadn't.
Now, my propellant did not wreck that sub. Now, I saw that monster as clearly as I see you now.
None of the other survivors saw him, Mike. The Navy Board of Inquiry is going to hold you directly responsible for the loss of that sub and the men who died aboard her.
As they should. He was reckless. It's not about his fuel, it's about what he was doing with it.
Now, how can they? I told you how it happened.
Fact still remains, you were running at excessive speed.
Now, that's nonsense. The hull was sound and my fuel was working perfectly.
But your instruments weren't. You were running blind.
He doesn't have an answer for that. Considering a lot of men died, he seems to have come out in amazing shape.
I've been running some tests on your fuel. I don't like the preliminary reports.
What do you mean, tests? The fuel has already proven itself. It's that monster we have to be concerned about.
I don't agree. That fuel of yours is a pretty unstable compound.
Well, that's hardly news. But I have tested the fuel thoroughly.
The Admiral says, and there are 4 canisters of it on that sub, and that's what worries me. On board the Seaview, they show Gant what he means.
This container is made out of titanium alloy, as strong as any we know. It contains exactly 1 gallon of ordinary seawater. And this is a sample of your fuel.
Careful with that. That amount of fuel could blow this submarine to the angels.
You think he doesn't know that? He should make you eat it.
Don't worry. It's been diluted to 1/100th strength. Now, I'm going to put one of these tablets into the seawater. One of these equals 1 drop of your fuel.
He drops the tablet in and nothing happens. Gant says, this proves what?
But I'm going to raise the pressure inside this cylinder until it reaches a PSI of approximately 140.
That's the water pressure where the test sub is.
Right. Now watch the pressure gauge.
I'm wasting an awful lot of time with all this. Why all this concentration on my fuel when there's a...
Yeah, why waste all this time on his fuel when there's a kaboom followed by a sickly yellow toxic gas? He just realized his mistake.
Seawater plus pressure. That's the catalyst. I never dreamed.
Now we know the real monster that's down there. Your fuel cylinders.
If seawater corrodes the cylinders at that pressure, there's no telling how much of that gas might be formed.
The computer's estimate isn't very optimistic. If that amount of fuel forms in the gas and gets to the surface and is picked up by the trade winds, millions of people could die, Captain.
He's putting it on submarines and he didn't test it at pressure. Who turned this guy loose with a chemistry set? They need to get to that sub and get his fuel out of there, all the while praying the compartment they're in isn't flooded.
What's the rest of the plan, Lee?
Well, time's a vital factor, Chip. The Admiral's going to take Gant with him on the flying sub. Now, hopefully, they'll locate the wreck and find the cylinders before we arrive with Seaview.
I wouldn't depend too much upon Gant.
Yes, I know what you mean. From everything I've heard of him, Gant wants to help just one person. Gant.
That's true, Captain. As far as it goes. But my motives aren't entirely selfish.
He is giving the United States a fuel that makes their submarines unbeatable. If he makes as much as the GDP of some small countries, hey, he earned it. But right now, he's only interested in clearing his name. Based on diagrams of the sub and where he got out, there's a good chance the compartment with the fuel is dry.
The Admiral can bring the flying sub right down here over this hatch. We may get lucky and find those cylinders there waiting for us.
And that may not be all that'll be waiting for us.
Meaning this creature of yours.
That's exactly what I mean. I know you don't believe me, Captain, but it was there.
Oh, well, we'll see. You'll need one crewman. Somebody with both flying sub and diving experience. Mr. Morton, alert Riley he's going on the mission.
Ordinarily, Riley is a kick to have around, but today he's all business. He can't help it. Gant's presence just seems to suck all the fun out of a room, or a flying sub. Admiral Nelson will drive. Before long, they've found the sub.
Just steady. Those fuel cylinders could blow.
The model work continues to amaze me. It's easy to believe the flying sub is docking with that other one, and it took 2 tries. I want to see how that was done because it sure looks like that model is moving on its own. And then there's this guy. That's quite a growl you have there, boy. I'll call you Fido. That part of the sub is indeed dry, so Riley and Gant go to find the canisters.
The Admiral has to stay with the controls, or we'll never get out of here. Riley, you think we two can handle it?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go. The cylinder room is just aft of here.
Mark Richmond's expression always keeps you guessing whether he's actually a bad guy or not. Looking at his IMDb photos, especially the ones from the Croft Super Show, I figure it has to be deliberate. We've seen him a couple of times, and he'll be back here in season 4. He grew up dirt poor, but managed to get a degree as a pharmacist, which got him out of there. He didn't work as one very long because he felt the call of the stage. He was on good enough footing financially now that he was able to go to acting school. He was a much sought-after character actor for the next 50 years. Watching him play Gant, it's easy to see why.
It's breaking up.
Fido thinks you're a stick and he wants to play, but there's nobody to throw it, so he'll go look for a squeaky ball.
Let's go, Riley.
Sir,
There's a tapping noise. Like there's somebody inside there.
The hatch is jammed, but Gant can use a tiny drop of his fuel to blow it open. The flip top of Riley's lighter makes a nice little container for it. Captain Gant, you owe Riley a new lighter. Mr. Balter, Gant's XO, falls out at them. He's badly hurt, so let's get back to the Seaview.
Admiral!
Told you.
I think everybody owes Gant a big apology, and maybe a beer.
That thing is pulling us away.
Flying sub, calling Seaview. Come in, Seaview. Come in, Seaview. Come in, Seaview.
Forget it, Riley. Those strands have shorted us out.
Fido couldn't find a ball to play with, so he made one.
It's moving away. Leaving us here.
Yeah, this ball doesn't squeak, it's boring. Besides, a new stick just came into view and this one is moving.
All stop. Hold it steady.
When Gant gets back, I'll be the first to apologize for doubting him.
If he gets back.
The Seaview and the flying sub can see each other but can't communicate. Nobody will think of flashing lights and Morse code. Instead, they'll pad the canisters and lash them down tight, then try to break out of the web.
Full power. Give her all she's got. No. The strain's too much. She'll crack.
You're the one who's cracking up.
I think he knows a little more about the craft than you do, Captain.
Where's your cuts?
But that won't stop this guy from screwing the pooch. He can defy the laws of physics by sheer force of will, just ask him. Admiral Nelson is badly injured and unconscious. Captain Crane knows something is very wrong, so he'll take a dive team and go see about getting them loose. There seems to be some discrepancy about the interior of the flying sub. Early on, it appeared there were only 2 seats and the area behind them was kind of cramped. Today, it's a 4-seater with lots of room to walk around. My explanation? They've lost 1 or 2 of these, and the contractor that makes them is forever upgrading them. Naturally, they upgrade the price right along with the vehicle, but that's only fair.
Cut away those strands. I'm going aboard.
He's going aboard after they cut a hole in the webbing for him to get to the hatch.
What happened to the Admiral?
We had a little accident. We tried to break loose.
We tried to break loose.
I wish they had followed up on Riley's comment. It died right there, and it seems a little unjust to me. Someone should have been told what Gant did, but really, I think they expect dumb things from Gant. Kowalski and Olsen have just about finished cutting enough of the web for the flying sub to get out. Fido doesn't want them to ruin his ball, and he has webbing that's almost as intelligent as Spider-Man's. Olsen is in trouble. The flying sub is operable and should get Riley and Gant back to the Seaview.
It'll just about get you back. Riley, take over the controls. When you break loose, rendezvous with us at the Seaview.
Aye, aye, sir. You're not sending us back to the Seaview.
Just as fast as you can get there.
Well, we can't turn and run now. This is our chance to get that thing.
With what? The flying sub doesn't have any weapons.
You've got 2 badly injured men aboard.
I know that, kid.
And enough explosives to kill millions of people. That's why I want you back at the Seaview now.
What about that killer running around loose in the seas? What about your men out there? You gonna let it kill them, too?
I'm in command, Captain. Don't forget that.
Riley will handle the controls. Gant would do well to sit down and shut up. Don't forget to fasten your seatbelt.
Skipper, it's got one of the divers.
Crane didn't even look. He doesn't need to. He needs his tank now. Kowalski is in hot pursuit, but that web is quick. And by the way, my hat's off to the diver who let Irwin do that to him. That's giant underwater spider for, hey, I got a twofer. Riley has carefully slipped the flying sub out of its cocoon.
Flying sub! Flying sub! Come in! Flying sub! Come in!
Flying sub. Go ahead, Skipper.
We'll need a torch out here, Riley. Better hurry! That thing's moving this way.
I'll get it to them.
While Riley maneuvers the flying sub into a good position, Gant suits up and heads out with the torch. It's not alive, Captain. Stabbing it doesn't help. Cut, slice, sever, hew in twain. Something that, works. It's a race to see who gets to them first, Gant or Fido. Gant got there first because the flying sub is faster than Fido's legs. Everybody is loose. Olsen is hurt, but Crane and Kowalski get him to the flying sub. But now Gant wants to take his torch and square off with Fido. He really is a little off his gourd.
Come on! Let's get out of here!
I have to kill that thing. I have to kill it.
You can't do it with a torch, Gant. Come on! Before it's too late!
Crane is having to drag him back to the Seaview, and his resistance is slowing them down to the point where Fido is gaining on them.
Good.
Don't try to sit up, Admiral.
Hand me an intercom, Mike.
Admiral, you've got to lie still.
Mike, and hurry.
Very well, but if you don't lie still, I'm going to have to give you sedation.
Spoiler, later on, that's exactly what he'll have to do. Does Nelson have any idea what his head looks like?
Give me the mic.
Yes, sir.
Sparks, have you reached the skipper yet?
Negative, Admiral. I'm still trying.
Well, keep on it. And call me the minute you reach him.
Aye, sir.
Well, that was meaningless. Certainly worth yelling at the doctor over. Sparks knows his job, Admiral.
The thing's gaining on us. I don't think we can make it.
Well, we'll find some way to drive him off.
Ready the nose laser and stand by to fire.
Admiral, this is Morton.
Go ahead, Chip.
I've got the nose laser ready to fire.
Very well. Get a radar fix on that creature and come about for a nose shot.
Aye, aye, sir.
Again, I think he knows that, Admiral. It was his idea. He probably has a fair idea how to execute it. The laser is enough to drive Fido away, but not kill him. Still, it worked well enough to get those two back on board.
Either of you hurt?
I'm just plain lucky. What drove it off?
The laser, though, apparently wasn't strong enough to kill it.
We've got to kill it.
Forget it. As long as it doesn't attack us again.
That's easy for you to say. But I've got a debt to settle with that thing. And I'm going to settle it.
Cool your jets, Ahab. It's an animal. It doesn't know what malicious is. It was acting on instinct. And besides, you were the one that slammed into its web. You're the crumpled fender that blames the stationary object it ran into. Captain Crane is ready to get out of here. They accomplished the mission, and that spider wasn't part of it.
Skipper, this is sick bay.
Go ahead.
That survivor you sent down here.
Yes, Bill Volter. How is he?
Not so good, but he's conscious and asking to see you. You better hurry, he's pretty low.
Bolter knows he's about to die, and he needs to set the record straight before he does.
Listen, the sonar worked. I saw the obstruction. Gave an order. The wrong order.
Just forget it. Rest, all right?
I lost my head. I saw obstruction. Gave an order. Hard left. Running smack into it.
It wasn't Gant's excessive speed, it was his order to turn when they shouldn't have. He wants the powers that be to know that. So Gant is in the clear with the inquiry board because Captain Crane will tell them what Bolter said. Gant doesn't care.
Mr. Morton, look at this.
Sir? Can't we run for it? He's too close. He'll grab a moving object. If we play dead, he might ignore us.
No such luck. You still look like a stick and he still wants to play. He knocks the sub around a bit. Gant is still in the missile room and he has an idea. He finds a test tube with a stopper nearby, and with a little of his fuel in it, that becomes his explosive charge on the end of the spear.
Shoot a charge to the hull. Might shake him loose.
Engineering, give me every ounce of power you've got and shoot it through the hull.
It'll take about 5 seconds, sir. Stand by.
Fido doesn't like that stick. It bites back. Now may we get out of here?
Gant.
Crane gets on the radio and tells him that Bolter was at fault. Gant says, I know. So Crane says, you can't kill that thing with a spear gun. Gant says, I can with this one. He explains and says, back away and hang on.
All back full. Rig for explosion.
Aye, sir.
Close forward crash doors.
Aye, sir.
It's amazing how many of those guys don't know what rig for explosion means. Next time, try grab onto something. In yet another Irwin Allen twist, that's not the end of Captain Gant.
You know, Captain, I've been thinking, you're in a hurry to get back to Santa Barbara, aren't you?
As a matter of fact, yes. Why?
Well, if I add my fuel cells, all 4 of them, to your tanks, I bet I can get the Seaview up to maybe 90 knots, or even more.
Well, this is where I came in.
And he didn't learn a thing. This was a monster of the week, but it's hard to decide who was the monster, the spider or Gant. He's a man for whom obsessions come easily, and he hangs on to them like that web was holding our divers. Something I've learned: hold on to everything tenuously, friends. Things are just things. Wealth corrupts in most cases. Fame, don't get me started. If you want to obsess, obsess on the people you love. Pour yourself out for them. Be there for them. Listen to them. Pray for them. Because in the end, nobody's going to care what you had. They'll care about who mattered to you and how you treated them. Because you never know. If you don't treat them right, there just might be a giant spider in your future. Take it from Captain Gant. You don't want that. I'm breathing underwater. I'm weightless through space. I'm soaring like an eagle all over this place. Creatures most will never see are waiting there to look at me, and all I gotta do is breathe underwater. Pushing. That's part. That yeah. Looking at his hot. We've seen him. Fido doesn't like that stick. It bites back. Now may we get out of here? I wasn't talking to you. Who turned this guy loose with a chemistry set? Certainly not you.